Hello everybody, my name is Samuel, for those who don't know, and today's video is just going to be me talking about my testimony. I do have a script that I'm looking at here, so my eyes are darting over here. That's because I've got kind of a whole story, I guess. So I'll start when I was born. Me and my sister were born premature at 26 weeks, and there are a lot of things and health problems that can come along with that. Some of those being blind, problems with just day-to-day life and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't had any of that. So I wasn't blind, I wasn't born with any problems. And that is truly a miracle that I wasn't born with any of that. That kind of had me questioning things like, how could I be born at such a young age and not have anything wrong with me for the most part. So growing up, I didn't really grow up in a religious household or anything. Nobody was a Christian or anything in my house. It's something we didn't really talk about when I was growing up. I knew there's like a holiday church program thing that I went to every now and then, but that was it really, nothing else. Through my primary school years, for those in New Zealand, I didn't really know much about it. I just knew that there was something to do with someone believing in God, and that was it. And there was a teacher who would come in. I think I only saw her twice, and she basically was there to teach us about the Bible and Christianity, and I was always intrigued by it. I was like, I want to know what she's saying. She seems like a nice lady. I was like not five, maybe 7 or 8 at the time, maybe 11, I'm not sure. But yeah, that was, and I remember a person who now I realize wasn't of Christian faith would be sent out because the parents didn't want them to hear anything about that, which is, I mean, it's fair for the parents. So that was my kind of experience during primary school, but I went through intermediate and didn't really care anything about it. I didn't really hear, or wasn't really on my mind at all. So that was like years 7 and 8. And then I went to high school. I went to a Catholic high school. And yeah, that was kind of everybody just immediately, Catholic and Bible and God, everything, that was a big thing, just out of nowhere, just clashed onto my thoughts, going there. And my parents, they aren't religious or anything. So people would ask me why my parents sent me to a school like that. And it was for the opportunity that was there. At high school, when there were any learning of God and Jesus or anything, especially during religious education, or RE as I call it, it was very vague. Like, you heard things about him dying on the cross. You heard about the 99 sheep and the one sheep that he went for, the Good Samaritan and the 3 wise men, and that was it. And Mass that we had every Thursday, tutor Mass, it didn't really teach me anything. It's just the Gospel of Matthew, and then he'd read from the book, would do the Lord's Prayer, and that was it. That's all I got from it. And it wasn't really helpful that it mixes school, which is not fun for a lot of people, and something you don't know about, or you don't really have a thought about wanting to know about. And yeah, it was kind of a bummer that they mixed something that I wasn't too fond of with another thing that I don't even know if I'd be fond of. And for me, the Mass and all this didn't teach me anything. That's why there's probably no want to learn about it, is because it's so vague with what they taught. And I didn't really enjoy it, and that the thought of me when I was in primary school compared to the high school made it feel more of like a chore. And in November of 2022, I think I was year 11 or 12. I think year 11, just finishing up year 11, or maybe year 12. I'm not sure. My granddad died, and funny enough, I had an exam for my end of year exam a few days, because he died on the 21st of November, and I had the paper on the 30th of November. So it was still very fresh. And I had an RE test. That's the funny part for me. And I didn't try on that at all. I think it was about like baptism and stuff like that. And I didn't try on that test at all. I somehow got a pass for it. I think I wrote like 200 words, and it was like meant to be 800. At the time, I was just angry at anything that could have been the cause of that, like people being angry at God for something that happened. But yeah, he passed away 10 days after my 16th birthday, which was a really huge bummer, especially for my family. And yeah, I barely wrote anything on my RE test. And it took time to figure out kind of everything, because it was my first actual impactful death in the family. And it took me time to figure out that whole situation. But I tried my best to support my family. Like, I stayed with my mum for 5 days that week, just hanging out with them, and my mum's partner, and my nana. And I think through the circumstance, through the death of my grandfather, me and my nana have become really close. And it's not a nice thing to say firsthand that someone dying in your family doesn't always have an all negative outcome. Because although I do miss him, and everybody misses him, and he was a good person around, there's been good coming from it. We've all learnt about time. That's the big thing. And then more appreciation for your family. That is one huge thing. And me and my nana we're like good friends now. Like, we have a fist pump, we do, which is quite cool. And when he did die and I was very upset and I just didn't know what to do, my neighbour suggested I go see the school counsellor, which I did for about 2-3 years after. And I do keep in touch every now and then, because now I've left and I'm in my second year of university. But I think she was really helpful when it came to coming up to terms with it and just having someone to talk to, because I could talk to my family. It's something that I don't do, is talk to my family about really anything. One, to kind of not have them burdened or stressed over anything, and two, I just don't know how to talk to them about stuff like that. But having someone to talk to like that about anything to my family is hard to do, and I'll forever cherish that few years that I had with her before I left to university. And after that, I kind of continued to reject religion. I don't know if I really mocked it at all. Sorry. I don't know if I mocked it or anything. I might have said a few jokes here and there, but yeah, it just wasn't something I was interested in at all. And my RE teacher, I think it was near the end of year 13, my RE teacher asked anybody who believes in God to put their hand up, and I didn't put my hand up. And then she looked at somebody and said, "Well, why don't you believe?" And he's like, "Oh, I just don't know." And then I can't remember what I said. I think it was along the lines of I don't know, or I just don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Yeah, so that was kind of my experience with thinking about it. And there was this one guy I knew in high school who we kind of had a bit of a falling out. I was quite rude to him, very different person back then, where I kind of just made fun of a lot of people, like not like a lot, like maybe a few people, like making jokes or finding little inside jokes and kind of kept digging at it. And this one guy, Lance, he was very big on YouTube, and he was a guy obsessed with this YouTuber. This is my first opinion of him. Is the guy who was obsessed with this YouTuber, Flamingo, I'm pretty sure. Even if anyone who knows who that is. And for some reason I felt that I should pick on him. A lot of people, other people did as well. It's not excusing what I did, but yeah, we had a bit of a falling out over some stupid, immature high school stuff. And basically, after he left, because he's a year above me, after he left, it was kind of all cut off from him. Like, I didn't hear from him. But a year, because yeah, a few years, maybe 2 years went by, maybe 1.5. I saw him on YouTube, and he was doing quite well for himself. Had a ton of people watching his stream. He just gained like thousands of subscribers, and I remember how bad I felt for doing that to him and just kind of picking on him a bit in high school. And then basically I commented in his live stream, and then he kind of ignored it. I could tell he was like, he didn't really care. I didn't really want to hear what I had to say. I'm just going to check that the camera's recording. Okay, yeah, still going. Sounded like he didn't care for what I had to like kind of message. Then I messaged him online and just congratulated him, and he seemed very skeptical at first. But then I kind of kept pushing that I was like happy for him. And then he kind of dropped his guard a bit, and then he kind of just accepted that I've apologized, because I did apologize, and then he just said, we're cool now. Then a bit after that, maybe a week later, he asked me to come to a church with him, and I said yes. And he said to me that I was the last person he would think going to church based off how he knew me, which is really fair for someone to say. But yeah, so that was kind of at the end of my, nearing the end of my first university year. So university was a whole new experience, new people, new area, and kind of a new environment. I met tons of people who were very supportive of me and my journey of faith. But I think after high school, there was just something missing. I don't know what it was, but there was something missing, and I couldn't figure out what that was. So when Lance invited me to church, I said yes, because I had been thinking of coming to a church just to see what it's like. And I didn't go that first time. I think it was because I didn't know how I felt to going in the first time. And then the second time, I just said yes, and I went. And that is something I'm very happy of, that I went to. And that's how my journey began, really. It's kind of a coincidence that a guy who I had picked on, and we had a bit of a falling out in high school, and we fully cut off connection, one of his first things to say was, "Do you want to come to church with me?" And that was something that I had been thinking of. So I showed up because I had had a bit of experience with a Catholic church from high school, but I didn't know what to expect when I showed up. I kind of thought that when I showed up, I would kind of say hi to Lance because I hadn't seen him in like 1.5 years. I'd show up, say hi to Lance, say hi to a few people, do whatever they did, like what Christians did, and then left. That wasn't my experience at all. Everybody came up to me, asked me a billion questions, who I was, what I do, and the pastors made me feel very welcome. And everybody made it feel like I had already been there before and I'd been there for ages. It wasn't anything like I expected. It was a very small community. The service was really great. And because I was new, I was very scared to talk to the pastors because I was like, oh, I don't really know them. I'm too shy. So I said very subtle goodbyes to everybody that I kind of said hi to. And it was like just an awkward, like, I don't know what to say to you guys when I leave. I don't really know you guys. So I just kind of gave like a subtle wave. And I was going to say bye to one of the pastors, but he was talking to somebody. So I just kind of walked to the entrance about to leave. And I was just too nervous to interrupt. So I started walking to the door, but just before I made it out the door, I heard a voice calling my name, and it was the pastor. He never forgot about me being there, and he made sure I left happy and welcomed, and he truly did. I don't think many people would just quickly cut off a conversation to just say bye to somebody who's come in, but that kind of made me feel that these people truly wanted to get to know me. And from what people say about like Christians saying that they're not great people, or they just believe what they believe and they hate anyone who isn't, that's not true in the slightest. I'd never really had somebody cut off a conversation and jog to the door just to say bye to somebody and just get to know them for 5 minutes before I do leave, which I truly appreciate. And from that point on, I have been going to that church every Sunday, and it's almost been a year. I'd say maybe 7 or 8 months I've been going to that church now. Really great people, made a lot of new friends, a lot of them older than me. So that was kind of a new environment for me. So fast forward maybe a month or two, I went to a event called Ministry of Miracles. It's a huge event where everybody kind of worships God together. And I didn't really know what to expect from that. I had never been to something. I was like, I know what a concert is, but I don't know if that's what we're talking about. But yeah, about halfway through, we kind of did group prayers and everybody got prayed for. And the whole time I was like, I want something. I want to experience something from this. And every time there's like, does anybody need prayer for, I don't know, something. And then you'd go up and get prayed for. And I was kind of too nervous just to go up because there's like a whole bunch of people I didn't know. A lot of people my age as well. And I just kept asking. I was like, in my head, I'm just like, I want an experience. I just want something. I want to hear something or something, just something. I don't know. And it took a lot of courage at the very end. The very last prayer was for something very specific. He said a chronic illness, and I was born with chronic lung disease, but I'm pretty sure that's maybe something to do with my premature birth, but anyway. And I basically felt just the urge. I have to go out, and I just pushed past people and I just went to the front. And I knew the guy who was doing all the prayer for people, and I closed my eyes and he prayed for me. And I felt kind of a warmth in my face growing stronger and stronger. And the longer he was praying, the stronger that feeling was in my face, like a warm feeling. And then I was guided to the floor, and the second I put my hands on the floor, that whole warmth rushed through my whole body, and I just sat there with my eyes closed on the floor, just praying. I can't remember what I said in the prayer, but yeah. That was something that I can't forget. It's kind of the turning point where I knew that nothing's going to convince me otherwise. Like, I've been away, I haven't experienced this for my whole life, and this is what is the truth. I felt a tightness as well, like a hug of a tightness. And for 18 years, I've rejected anything to do with Christianity, or kind of didn't care for it. And when I gave just a moment of my time, I pushed through that crowd, I was changed. And I truly believe that I have changed. And for anybody who thinks I'm just sitting here lying about this whole story, I don't know how I can prove to you, but I'm not lying. You can't really argue with what I've said, because there's no... majority of people who could be watching weren't there. And for anybody who's thinking to themselves, why haven't I experienced anything similar? And I kind of thought that same thing. It's like, why haven't I had somebody randomly come up on the street saying Jesus loves you? Or why didn't I have anybody ask to pray for me willy-nilly? Or why didn't I get that message or the voice calling to me? I thought that same thing. And I waited to the very last prayer, and that was it. And I didn't say this when I was... I kind of wrote this whole script when I was on the day of my baptism, but I didn't mention this part at the end, which I should have. But I just felt very, again, uncomfortable with people who I knew weren't Christians and didn't have really care or not care, but like, they didn't want to dabble in it at all, and they didn't really, patience. I waited till the very last prayer, and that was the one that changed me. And it's patience that got me there. And to be patient with God is very important. Because you've got to be patient with him, because he's patient with you. Because he was sitting there for 18 and a half years just waiting for me, and I finally did it. And he's always around the corner. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or anything, and you just don't know what to do, just know that he's always there, and he's around the corner just waiting for you to turn to him. I don't know if there's anything else I can touch on. I don't know. But just being patient with him, that just because you've done something, or just because you messed up in life, or you're not as where you want to be, doesn't mean he doesn't love you any less. You should see yourself the way he does, and you'll learn to appreciate yourself a lot more. And he knows that you've been battling what you're battling. I don't know who needs to hear it, but you just need to see yourself the way he does, because you're perfect through his eyes of love. And He doesn't get angry at you when you do wrong. He just wants you to live for him. That's his only thing. He wants you to have a relationship with him, and he wants you to live for him. And trusting in yourself and just trusting in yourself is just a hole you'll get deeper in. Because let's say you're in a really upset state where someone in your family dies and you hold your trust in yourself. Once you start changing the way you think, like, oh, what's the point in living if we're going to die anyway, or something like that, that is not a good. It's like trying to save yourself from slipping by catching onto the water in the shower. It's not going to help. It's going to make it worse. And just trusting in God that he's always with you and he's got your back is a way better trust than anything else. You can trust in anything, but there's no trust like God, or the trust that you should put into God. And he doesn't call for anybody to be perfect. It's like a gym. Nobody goes first time in the gym perfect. Like, nobody's ripped or lean or perfect when they go into the gym for the first time. They're broken, they want to change. So you need to go into that kind of mindset, is that he doesn't call for you to be perfect. And if you're scared of feeling like you're wrong, or that you're doing wrong every day, like, oh, well, people who are Christian just constantly say to themselves, I'm sinning. And even if we do say that, we don't say it in a way that puts us down. We mean it in a way that we're trying to build from that. It's like we've got the building block here, and if you trust in yourself and what the world wants you to trust in, and just doing everything for yourself, by yourself, that foundation is going to be like sand. And when you put those foundations, the piles, into the ground, as soon as anything happens, your whole house and terrain is gone. But if you build your life on that firm foundation, on God and Jesus, when anything happens, your foundation will stay clear. So when you're all shaken and down, he will always stay here, and he's always here with you. And a verse that I just kind of thought that came to mind about this, about seeking God, was Matthew 5:8. First seek the kingdom of God, and his righteousness shall be added to you. And people say that they've never experienced God, so why should they believe? And it's a metaphor about, there's a metaphor about this, an analogy where a barber is cutting hair and a guy says, oh, I don't believe in God. And then the barber's like, I don't believe in barbers. And the guy's like, what? And the barber starts saying, well, there's people outside who have long hair, and barbers cut hair, so everybody should have short hair. And he said, but barbers are real, and the only reason these people have long hair is because they don't get their hair cut. They don't seek the barber, so they don't get cut. And that analogy, it means that people who seek the kingdom of God will have the righteousness added to you. Those who seek shall receive. And those who don't want to seek, or don't have any care in the world, shouldn't be questioning why nothing's happening, because you can't go anywhere without seeking anything, and you have to seek him to receive. You have to ask and you shall receive. And I seeked and I received. So I guess that's kind of going to be it. I don't know if I'll edit this, add any pictures or anything. But yeah, that's kind of me and my testimony. Pretty sure I covered everything. But yeah, so I'd love for anybody who sees this to share anything or comment anything down about their story or how they're growing in faith. I think that's going to be it. God bless everybody.